strike with the W. She's on strike right now. They on strike right now. We're all here. We're all playing. We're all getting paid very sufficiently. So I'm not that upset if the league wants to play around. If we don't have a season, I have money. I'm getting paid from Unrivaled, and I have other revenues of income as well. It's really their loss.
That statement right there just became the most tone-deaf comment of the entire CBA negotiation. Azura Stevens just told the world that if the WNBA season gets canceled, she's fine with it, because Unrivaled pays her bills. And the timing couldn't be worse. We're days away from a potential lockout that could cost dozens of players their livelihoods. But Stevens isn't worried. She's got her backup plan. The question is, does the rest of the league...
Stevens, not everybody is playing in Unrivaled. Unrivaled is not year-round either. Now, I'm guessing she's saying, hey, we're going to be fine for an entire year. We can survive off of this paycheck that we're getting from Unrivaled, right? But the thing is, you have players that don't necessarily get this check. They need the check that the league is given in that time frame of the season.
Here's what makes this particularly reckless. Stevens is a stretch four who averaged 9.5 points last season with the Sparks. She's not a superstar. She's not selling out arenas. But she landed a spot on Unrivaled's roster, which means she's part of an exclusive club. Only 30 players in the entire league got that invitation. So when she says we're all here, we're all getting paid very sufficiently, she's speaking for maybe 25% of WNBA players. The other 110 players on league rosters, they're watching this interview wondering if their teammate just threw them under the bus. The owners aren't making public statements like this. They're not going on podcasts bragging about how they'll be fine if the season gets canceled because they've got other business ventures. They're negotiating. But every few days, another player comes out with a comment that makes it sound like they're ready to walk away from the table entirely.
Basketball game between Hive and Rose on February 20th, 2026 on TNT drew 130,000 viewers. Okay, now this is the Friday game where Angel Reese came back. She had a pretty good game. 6 of 9. She shot 66% from the field. Can't be mad at it, right? Now, continue, it says the matchup was part of the league's second season, which has faced lower viewership compared to its inaugural season. Now, I think they were averaging like 300,000 in the first year. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 300 or 200,000. And then now
130,000 viewers. That's what Unrivaled drew on TNT for their February 20th game featuring Angel Reese's return from injury. For context, the league averaged between 300,000 and 350,000 viewers during their inaugural season last year. They've now dropped to averaging 130,000 to 175,000 this season. That's a 50% decline in year two, and this is the league that players keep pointing to as their safety net. This is the alternative they're threatening to fall back on if CBA negotiations collapse. A 3-on-3 league that plays a 10-week season has no proven business model beyond year two and just lost half their audience in 12 months.
We don't even know if TNT are going to host you guys next year with that option lingering in the air. They could let you guys go. So it's like, fam, I understand y'all are trying to ride the wave off of the 1 year, the 2 year, if you want to add this year into it, but it hasn't necessarily shown sustainable numbers. I watch it, I enjoy the league, but I can honestly state that there are not a lot of people that are watching the league right now, that are watching you guys. And I honestly don't know if Caitlin would even save the league because she don't even like 3-on-3. So would she join the play? Like, there's a lot lingering in the air for you guys to be beating on your chest. I'm just saying, be humble. And it's crazy, yesterday I started thinking about the salary cap, right?
Let's talk about what the owners actually proposed, because it's getting lost in all this posturing. The league offered a salary cap of $5.4 million per team. Under that structure, Aja Wilson would make $904,000. Breanna Stewart would earn $887,000. Jewel Lloyd jumps to $1.13 million. Jackie Young gets $768,000. Those are massive increases from current salaries, but here's where it gets complicated. If you put those 4 players on the same team, which is basically what the Aces have right now with their Olympic roster, those salaries eat up $3.6 million of your $5.4 million cap. That's 65%. You've got 8 roster spots left and only $1.8 million to fill them. Each remaining player averages $225,000, which is barely above the proposed league minimum. The players rejected this. They want a $9.4 million salary cap instead, which would allow multiple max contracts on the same team without forcing role players into minimum deals. And look, I understand the argument. They want to keep super teams intact. They want stars to get paid like stars without punishing the middle class.
Super teams. And the main team that I started thinking about was the Aces. All right. You have 4 Olympians on that team. And I'm like, yo, I mean, it could work if they aren't selfish, which I'm not getting the vibe here off of what they're asking for. If some of them don't mind taking the pay cut and saying, hey, all right, y'all can get this, you can get this, you can get this, I will lower my standards so we can have a good team. I don't think that's necessarily how everybody is thinking. I think they want that $9.5 million because they.
But here's what Napheesa Collier said that should concern everyone. People, no matter if they're middle tier, people at the top, rookies, everyone has been really consistent that we want a season to happen. But if we don't get the things that we are wanting to stay 10 toes down on, then we're going to sit out for as long as that takes. 10 toes down. That's the phrase that keeps coming up. It means they're not budging, not compromising, not meeting in the middle. They want gross revenue sharing, they want the higher salary cap, they want charter flights, they want housing stipends, and if they don't get all of it, they're prepared to sit out an entire season. Meanwhile, Unrivaled just proved it can't even maintain its own audience without WNBA star power propping it up. TNT has an option to drop the league after this season. Viewership is cratering, and players are out here acting like it's a viable long-term alternative to the WNBA.
125,000 less than the average. Now, that's still good money. That's still a dub in my book, right? You go from 200,000 to getting up there to 904,000, especially with Jewel Lloyd. I think her salary last year was like 245,000, I believe, 249,000, around that range somewhere. To go from that to 1.13 million, come on, man, that's still a huge W. But let Fee tell it. Everybody is still 10 toes down on sitting out and getting what they exactly want. She said,
remember when Natasha Cloud made similar comments about not needing the WNBA because Unrivaled had them covered? 2 weeks later, the players lost housing stipends in negotiations. Every time someone brags about their backup plan, they lose leverage at the bargaining table. Because the owners are watching the same Unrivaled ratings we are. They see the 130,000 viewers. They know TNT is evaluating whether to renew. They understand that without the WNBA platform, most of these alternative leagues don't survive. The power dynamic here isn't what players think it is. Yes, the WNBA needs its stars, but those stars need the WNBA infrastructure, the national TV contracts, the ESPN exposure, the arena deals, the medical staffs, the chartered travel that's already been added. Unrivaled can't replace that. It's a supplemental league at best, and a failed experiment at worst, if these ratings continue.
I would say just be more professional when you're talking to the media about the owners, about what's going on in the W. You know, I think they are trying to work out something to work with you guys. They're not out bad-mouthing you guys. So just keep it respectful. I'm not saying the owners are 100% right here. I'm just saying maybe have the decency to speak about them as some people that are trying to actually help you guys make a living off the things that you love to do, which is play ball, giving you guys a platform to showcase your skills, right? Investing in you, making these facilities, all that stuff, man. You know, I just think they could go about it a different way rather than act like they don't really need the league or need the owners. That's all I'm saying, man. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about all of this information, man. Do you agree with Stevens? Do you agree with me? Do you have your own thoughts about this? Let me know in the comment section, man. I love you.
So let's bring this full circle. Azura Stevens says it's really their loss if the season gets canceled. But whose loss is it actually? It's a loss for the 11-10 players who didn't get Unrivaled contracts and were counting on their WNBA salary to pay rent. It's a loss for rookies entering the league who won't have a season to showcase their skills. It's a loss for the Caitlin Clark effect that just brought 3.4 million viewers to a single WNBA game last season, the kind of mainstream attention the league has been chasing for 27 years. It's a loss for the expansion teams in Golden State, Toronto, and Portland, who just paid $50 million entry fees, expecting to start play in 2026. It's a loss for Nike, Puma, and Adidas, who just signed massive shoe deals with players banking on WNBA exposure. It's a loss for the broadcasters, who committed to multi-year TV deals worth hundreds of millions. And yes, it's a loss for the owners who've been subsidizing this league for nearly 3 decades while it operated at a loss, because they believed in the product and the growth trajectory. The same owners who just agreed to eliminate the salary cap on coaching staffs, who committed to charter flights, who approved full medical coverage and off-season training stipends, are the owners perfect? No. Should players fight for better compensation? Absolutely. But there's a way to negotiate without publicly disrespecting the partnership. There's a way to advocate for yourself without acting like you don't need the league that's provided your platform. Stevens saying, "I have money, I'm getting paid from Unrivaled," while she's supposed to be negotiating in good faith with WNBA owners. That's not strategy, that's burning bridges. And when Unrivaled's ratings keep dropping, and TNT decides not to renew, where does that leave the players who bet everything on their backup plan? The CBA deadline is approaching, both sides need to find middle ground. But every time a player goes public with comments like Stevens made, it pushes that middle ground further away. The owners aren't stupid. They see these interviews, they hear the disrespect, and it makes them less inclined to compromise when the other side is already planning their exit. Here's what I think happens next. The players will hold firm on their demands right up until the deadline. They'll threaten to sit out. They'll point to Unrivaled as proof they don't need the WNBA. But when the reality hits that Unrivaled can't sustain 144 players year-round, when those TV ratings keep declining, when the checks stop coming in September because there's no fall league to play in, that's when the real negotiation begins. The smart play would be to take the owner's offer, lock in the massive salary increases, and renegotiate again in 3 years when the league's revenue picture is clearer after expansion. Instead, we're watching players gamble their entire 2025 season on a 3-on-3 league that just lost half its audience. So to answer Stevens directly, yes, it's the league's loss if the season gets canceled. But it's your loss too. It's everyone's loss. And pretending otherwise while you're sitting on an unrivaled paycheck that 80% of your colleagues will never see? That's not solidarity. That's privilege masquerading as power. The WNBA has momentum right now. Real, measurable, unprecedented momentum. Caitlin Clark brought millions of new fans. Ratings are up across the board. Expansion teams are paying record fees. Shoe deals are getting bigger. This is the moment to capitalize, not to blow it all up over a CBA negotiation where both sides are actually closer than they're admitting publicly. But if players keep making statements like Stevens just made, if they keep treating the owners like adversaries instead of partners, if they keep acting like Unrivaled is a viable replacement instead of a complementary product, then we're headed for a lockout that nobody wins. And when it's over, when the dust settles and players realize their backup plan wasn't as solid as they thought, the damage to relationships and trust will take years to repair. So here's my question for you. Do you think the players are overplaying their hand with these unrivaled comments? Or are they right to have a backup plan and be vocal about it? Because from where I'm sitting, this strategy is backfiring spectacularly. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you found this breakdown valuable, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're covering every development in this CBA negotiation as it unfolds. The deadline is coming fast, and things are about to get very interesting.